That was dumb. Did you go or not? Yes, you did. Okay. Swear to God, sometimes I just had to get my dinner sorted. Oh my God, what a... It's like a fruit bomb. Ugh. That is like a jammy ass. What was I thinking? Oh. It had 96 points. That's what I was thinking. Oh, this will be fine. Not fine. Yeah, so let me just like gather my freaking brain here. Let me begin to prepare to proceed to just see what the hell. What am I even doing? Let me just like warm up my brain. Let me just have some more of my dinner here. Oh, that's so jammy. Ugh. But you bought it, so you're going to drink it. Well, you're probably going to not drink all of it because it's too gross. But anyway. So, let's just go to this. Let me start at the beginning. What is that? So, this is where I'm at. I want to port the IBIS tool. This is the IBIS tool, and I want to port it. And I am very far along with this, and what I need to do is I need to think out how the code is gonna be, because it's kind of indeterminate at the moment. And so that is the plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of do some rubber ducking here. And what that means is, oh, did I not go to that? There we go. As I was saying. So the job is to port the IBIS tool to Intertwingler. That's what you see here. This is the IBIS tool. It is not running on Intertwingler. And so yeah, I'm going to just fill out a few of these elements here because it needs to happen. Oh my God, I wrote this almost a year ago. That's how like all over the freaking map that I've been. Fantastic. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, that sip was not nearly as nasty. Maybe it just needed to breathe a bit because it was super jammy when I opened it. So yeah. So what I'm working on, I mean, I'm porting, the job is to port this thing over to Intertwingler. And I'm just going to full screen that and see if that works. Did it work? It did work. Okay. It's like several seconds delayed on the playback, so I couldn't tell. Okay, so I need to fill out some of these elements, and you'll probably like get a sense of like what this thing does while I do it. So we're on a green guy that is a, oh God, why is Twitch crapping out? Why is all of this crapping out? Okay, phew. Yeah, anyway, we're on a green guy. And a green guy is a position. A position is like, so you got issues, positions, and arguments. This responds to an issue. Client wants to use the IBIS tool in everyday operations. I mean, he would, wouldn't he? But, so this is the issue. And you can see that an issue is like something in the world that you want to do something about. Can I make this a little bigger? It kind of dangles off the end, so let's not. Ooh, hello. There we go. So yeah. So port the IBIS tool to indeterminacy. That's the resolution. That's the thing to do about this. So we could actually be able to. So we could actually continue development. We would actually be able to continue development. Let's actually put that on here. We would actually be able to unblock development IBIS tool that has been staying idle for over a decade. Not entirely true, but mostly true. So this is an argument. This is why to do this. You can see that I put it in the supports bit. And everything over in the graph here is a representation of that. So there are issues. The front end code to the IBIS tool is currently in the back end repository. It no longer is. So I can actually like, the other thing that I haven't done and I would do is like have a state for these. So I would say resolved. But that needs to, you need to port it first, Dorian, before you can freaking do that. Because that's done. This is the response to that. That's done. So porting the IBIS tool to intertwingler. The resources to furnish, yeah. So this is the issue that I'm dealing with right now, is you can see like all of these elements have where are we here? They're like autofill, so if I was going to suggest a thing, then like, hi, whatever. Those are all autofill things, and those got to come from somewhere. And so internally, like on the prototype, there's like a data service that does this. But what I want to do is I want to do it on the intertwingler side, because intertwingler does not have that. So we need to create a set of catalog resources. And this is what we're working on right now. Represent window sizes. So, how does the, where are we here? Oh, there goes the heater because it's the winter. So, question by. New question. How does the front end know like where the resources, where the catalogs are? So catalog resources, we need a few of these. And just put a hyphen there. There's the front end now. So we need to create, the answer of this is has response, create an index. This is done, by the way. Create an index that is as a sort of top level as a top level entry point to the catalogs. And then the other will be, this is another one, done, also done, define a relation that connects you know, the tool to these entry point. And so what we'll do actually is we'll go in here. No, we're already there. Okay. And we'll go into the C also, actually. And I'm just going to pop open the transformation functions. Ontology, or is it the no, it's this collaborative graph tool ontology. and index CGTO index. Yeah. No, that doesn't have the. You know, I don't even know. Okay, inventory source by class. Next is CGTO space to the CGTO index of resources. So that's actually it. Right here. So I'm really sloppy with these. Where's my little, there we are. This, that's what I want. Oops. Hey. That should not do that. Lower index. Well, that's a fix it later problem. Okay, where did that go? It goes here. Just gonna chuck that into the C also. That's the one. That just like sticks that there for as like an annotation. One thing I do not have at the moment is a thing that will go and grab the metadata from that, which would be nice if I did, but I don't have that. Anyway. So, that's, you know, issue number 1. Where is it here? Entry point. No, top level entry point is this guy. So actually, what we need to do is go back here. And my load is like 4.74 right now, which I don't know why. What is taking up all that CPU? Anyway. Create a set of catalog resources is the thing that we want. What is killing my freaking computer? Just a second. It's just OBS. Cute. So relation. What did I say? How does the front end know what the catalogs are? Create an index. Define a relation. Come here. Hey. That's a little shaky. Oh, it's this again. There we are. What was that again? Response. Define a relation. Index. The index is in there too. So. No, you know what? This is a specializes catalog. And then we're going to just generalize the information. No. How does the front end know where the catalogs are? No, that's actually right. I'm sure I messed that up. That's fine for now. So, that's like a, let me just, did I know? So, you've got the tool, and then it's going to have this index, CGTO index. And then there's, you got the index. And then you have CGTO by class. CGTO is like collaborative graph tool ontology or something like that. CGTO by property. And then you've got the summaries. And those are the things that have all the counts. Whew. And then if you go farther up, you got the inventory. And the inventory is just like a list of resources. So these arcs are like link types. And so what happens is like the tool page, whatever page is the tool, it finds, well, sorry, no, tool root maybe. And then tool page. And, you know, you use some mechanism like XHV top or whatever. And so that's how you find the root. The root finds this. And so you just basically follow links. Now, once again, so then the question here is entry point to the catalogs. Now, what useful thing? So then we say, so then we basically repeat the question and we say, how do we know? Know which is which, basically. How do we know which what next, more or less? How do we know which catalogs are good? How do we know which catalogs are sane? How do we know which catalogs mean what? Like, how do we relate, you know, how do we pick out the catalogs? How do we represent the catalogs? Yeah, something like that. Like, what should the catalogs look like? Well, I should say that there are, first of all, there are potentially, so the issue is that you need to be able to represent need to be able to represent like instances of a certain class. Yes, we need to be able to represent. So the IBIS tool needs a list of all resources that are in the range of a particular predicate. That's actually not the greatest. Let's make it to populate next hops, to populate potential linkages, the tool needs a list of all resources that are in the range of a given property. Cool. So the question is, well, how do you, that's fine. Well, so then it's like, well, then create a list. create a list resources as a table, basically, as a list. Create a list as a list. Yeah. Create a resource that is itself. Create a self of resources with this characteristic. Now I'm thinking again. This always happens. The characteristic of okay. So then we've got and this is sort of how this is like the behavior sheet stuff that I was doing like eons ago. And this is like semi-done, by the way. Create a list is a list of resources with the characteristic of being in the range of a given property. In the range of a given property. Well, what about domains? This is actually really interesting because it just occurred to me that the current thing uses types, not ranges. But I could use ranges in intertwingler, but the prototype can't. The prototype is dumb. But intertwingler is smart. Or rather, intertwingler can be smart, so the front end can be even dumber. Characteristic of being in the range of a given property. Well, we've done this, more or less, but it's not done, so we're going to... So, I'm just trying to think of, like, an issue that this raises, and that is, like, well, the property should be, the issue, obviously, is that the property hard coding, there are all manners of properties. So hard coding so hard coding a single one is silly. I don't really typically do just this, but anyway, so the response to that is, well, make the range a parameter. Make the resource respond to an in the range. Put the range, yeah. Put the property put the range property for which the list is all resources in range thereof into a parameter. Fine, done. This is done. You can see like it goes off into the weeds. Put the so range of property. Why are you not going? Did you go? I don't know. Oh, thanks, Andre. Merci beaucoup. Okay, so put the range in range of into a parameter. Ooh. Yes. Put the range into a parameter. And then, so the issue here is, well, what about range goes in the opposite, parameters go in the other, properties go in the other direction too. Other direction too. So subjects. This is also done. Get my dinner here. It's definitely a lot better that it's like had some time to breathe because it was super jammy when I opened it. To catch, be able to pick subjects of properties as well as objects. It's true it would. I don't know, like like having value. Well, I mean, the thing about like issues, right? What I have found in this sort of IBIS framework, I should make that like grow or whatever, is like by dint of being a type issue, like you can just sort of say, like, for example, the painting is crooked. And that's just a factual statement. Like, that's not a, that's not a value judgment. But, like, the fact that you've put it into the red color code is, like, implicitly means, like, the painting is crooked. Maybe you should straighten it. Maybe you should do something about it. Straightening it would be a position. You should straighten the painting. So anyway, put the in range of property into a parameter. So then we would have response, create a, this is also done. Create a, I'm just like retracing the steps of code I've already done at this point. Create a, make the resource respond to an in domain of property as well. Or parameter. for parity within range of, yeah. Come on. It's slowing down because I'm like loading it up. For symmetry within range of. Make the catalog or the inventory. So these should actually, I need to like scoot up here. This like representation is not the best, and I need to like spend like weeks just working on this representation, but we are not there yet. Sampala. Okay, create resources, self-listed resources. Create an inventory resource. I'm just going to rename that. And then these two guys are going to come up. Come on. Create an inventory. Resources. Oh, that's the... what's it called? That is the freezer. That is the timer on the freezer, rather. There's something in the freezer that I have to take out of the freezer. So let me just... My OBS toggle mute. There we go. Okay. Yes, did I do this? Did I refresh that? This is the thing with, like, I should really, like, when I made this, like, 11 years ago, I was, like, super restrictive about, like, the use of JavaScript, like, because I still, to a large extent, like, believe that, like, you should be parsimonious with JavaScript, and you should have like fallbacks to the extent that you can that like don't so that like to theoretically like a person could use your web app without JavaScript, to the extent that that makes sense. There's obviously like, especially these days, like there's, 10, 11 years later, there's tons of stuff that like doesn't make sense. And I mean, this representation, this thing is 100% JavaScript, this graph. So it's a bit hypocritical at this point, or I don't know if hypocritical is the right word, but I am not muted, right? Oh yeah, no, we're good, okay. Did I? Have I been not? Jesus Christ. I haven't even, there we go. Wow. That was a dumb. I should actually like look at the screen. Okay, create an inventory resources itself, blah, 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 blah. Good. That's this. Now that generalizes, what is this guy? Don't put the in range of. Also this guy, where are we? Done, like inventory. inventory. Right. So there, now it's less sketchy. So, okay, we got inventory, we got in blah, blah, in range of. I'm just going to do backticks on this guy. Yeah. There is another issue. That, this is a suggestion, not a question, is that the original inventory source in the prototype goes by instance of class rather than some more dinner. Instance of class rather than range. It's definitely jammy when you pour it out of the bottle. So the response to this is create and add an instance of parameter that takes class identifiers for parity with the original resource. This is also done, so I should actually have said done. Okay. And again, once I actually do the port on this, like, this is not just going to be me typing in here. There will actually be like a field or something like that that can determine or infer or explicitly say that if something is done. So let's go dig this out. Holy cow. This is like in the weeds. I kind of love it though. Like, I mean, the thing is like the math on this visualization is just like completely not right. Like, it's just fucked. It's not right. And I have like an idea now what the math should be. But like, I know that if I start down that road, then like all I'm going to do for like weeks and weeks is just noodle on it. And I don't have the juice for that right now. So we'll just add that instance of, so we'll do this. And this is going to snarl that right up. Yep. But we're sort of getting closer here. And again, like, what's cool about this representation, even though it's totally not right, is you can see, and again, like, yeah, so if, like, there's, the thing about hyperbolic space is that the farther, especially polar hyperbolic space, I mean, like, it's an Euler disk representation, whatever, is that the farther that you get from the origin, the more space there is, because it's concave. I can't remember. I think it's convex. And so, like, the idea is you can like stuff more graph into the fringes, and then the way that it orients itself is it's like near the center you have, like, if we go back to the center of this thing, which is probably here. Yeah, that's about right. So this is like unambiguously the center, and you can see that it's this very high level thing. Client wants to use intertwingler as a backend. If you don't know what intertwingler is because you just joined, it's basically the application server that this is not running on top of, but I want it to run on top of. And so what we're doing right now in this session is trying to figure out how we're going to get around to doing that, which is happening over here. And so this is the thing, is that like the farther away from the origin you get, so like here's some other thing that is like, I want to use, yeah. So these are like near the center, these things are very normal things that like the client wants, or like you want, somebody wants, and it's like a relatable thing. But out here is some freaking tech shit. Like this is all out near the edges is where the technical crap. If you want this, you got, well, actually it's not that one, but well, sort of is. This one over here, what's that? Yeah. No, that goes the opposite direction. Well, that's fine. Yeah, so this is like, I would follow this. So here we start here. Again, very, very high level, right? I want to use intertwingler to run my web properties. Well, I wrote the damn thing. Of course I want to use it. So, put DorianTaylor.com, put mix, blah, 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 put method. So I think this is like, this is probably even. Okay. Well, do we actually want to keep this domain alive? Anyway, whatever. It generalizes. I don't actually know. I think this actually comes from another place. But anyway, it generalizes this guy. Put the IBIS tool on there. IBIS tool, this is the IBIS tool. What you're looking at right now is the IBIS tool. It is not running on intertwingler. It should be running on intertwingler. The goal is to get it running on intertwingler. And anyway, so you can see, so here's where we're at. We're this set of catalog resources. So I've already split off the front end from the back end. Front end is purely freestanding at this point, which is great. And now what I need to do is I need to figure out these freaking catalog resources, which is a thorn in my side, and we're just going to keep going on it until we we know what to do. But right now we're still on backfill mode. Like we're still like, because I just haven't been using this. I've just been using org mode, which I don't. It's if org mode solved my problem, I wouldn't have written this freaking thing. Let me just put it that way. So. Okay, this windowed shit, we have to, yeah, anyway. So this should actually go here. 2. That doesn't live that far down. Oh yeah, here we go. As you can see, the graph rearranges itself when you add stuff to it. I mean, not for some reason. We know why it does that. Because it changes its topology. So, create an inventory resource. So this is how, yeah. So this is like an inventory resource that itself is a list of resources with the characteristics of being in the range of a given property. So, actually what we're going to do is we're going to say create a general purpose. We're not going to do that quite yet. We're going to question this. We're going to say, what about, No. No. We are going to, we're going to actually oppose this. Exactly. Because this is, so we're going to oppose this and we're going to say the resource, this is again like the normative stuff with an argument. Because like, if you're trying to make a normative assertion, like that's what a position is. And this is the thing, is that like if you're like the implication of an issue or an argument, and I actually made arguments a subclass of issue, which is not in the original design, but I decided that that's what it deserves. So I'm actually going to oppose this, and I'm going to say that an issue or a resource with all these parameters, does much more. So we're going to keep this, but we're going to a resource with all these parameters does much more than just display resources in the range. A collection or as an inventory takes all these parameters just display resources in the range of a given. Fine. Create a sort of Swiss Army knife. So this is the response. Create a Swiss Army knife. Inventory resource. They can take any combination of parameters. They can take, yes. And so this actually will also support that. I don't know what this looks like. Oh, whatever, we can just do that at the same time. And then this is, oops. No, inventory resource. This is. So I'm going to just do this here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop this off because it's no longer... See, this is the other thing that's like incomplete at the moment. You know what? We'll just leave it. We'll see. I don't know. But then, come here. No. This. Parameters. Generalize. in domain in range instance of. So you can see I sort of like voted down the other thing and voted up this thing. And it's like getting kind of bananas over here, which is fine. See, this is how you can tell that this design is wrong, because like these are miles apart from each other. Like in hyperbolic space, they're miles apart from each other, and they just should not be. Like they should just be like a much more compact, and they're just not. And part of that just has to do with just like a naive implementation. Displays blur. Okay. The other thing it responds to is that, where does the other guy respond to? No. Popular potential linkages. So this is Swiss. I'll just say adopted. Yeah. So the question here is, what about inferred parameters? Sorry. What about... So there's a couple things. There's like, how do we reconcile if you have multiple parameters at once? And the answer is the parameters should be treated as treat the parameters as a union. That is, select all things. All resources that match any of them. and this is adopted. So you can also see too that like a position is not a task. And this is like one of the things that I want to sort of extend this by is that if a position can graduate into a task, but it is not a task by itself. And again, like this tool, no bueno, doesn't do it, not good enough. Which is why I never expanded it. You know, it has to work before I can like put real effort into it. Okay, so this is a specializes Swiss Army knife. Boop. Swiss. And this will slurp it back up together. Yeah, maybe not as much as I anticipated. I'm just gonna check something here. Switch that over to this. My ears just plugged up for a second. Okay. All right. This is a union. That's weird. Whatever. I'm not going to put an argument for that because that's just what I did. Okay. So, what else? There will be, how do we deal with large amounts of we'll do that in a second. How do we deal with inferencing? So, you know, are there cases where we want the inference? This is actually interesting thinking this all out. Okay. Inferences. So, yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So here's how we do it. How do we, what if like, and this is part of the reason why this thing has stagnated for so long, because I haven't had the wherewithal to do inferencing. And inferencing is so freaking important. So I will say this is, how do you manage, or what about What about resources that are subclasses or properties of assorted classes? That are subproperties of properties in the parameters specified. What about them? I guess I would actually say this is like, how do you address or make sure, how do you make sure how do you make sure that you net, how do you make sure that you net resources that are the answer is inferencing. This is not quite ideal, but because like you could have something that was in the range of a certain thing, but then like it's a certain class assertion, but you won't get it. We're not going to worry about that at the moment. That is like a V2 thing, that kind of capability. Because the problem is like intertwingler is written in Ruby, and the only reason why, not the only reason why, I mean the big reason why it's written in Ruby is because the only other language that has an RDF inferencer is Java. And I hate Java. I do not want to write Java. And so I'm not going to write Java. And instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to write Ruby, which is a lot less onerous than Java. But as great as the RDF library for, again, it's the only one that's got one. And it's just, I don't know why, it is the only one. I mean, I do know why it's the only one. It's just nobody's bothered. Well, not entirely true. There was one in Python. It's abandonware. It's like nobody's touched it in 10 years. So I tried to fix the Python one. I couldn't do it. I was originally going to do intertwingler in Python. I'm kind of glad I didn't because I kind of don't love Python. But I hate Python a lot less than I hate Java. I had a false start too back in 2017. I was going to write intertwingler in Clojure. And I was just going to like wrap all the Java parts in Clojure and then use Clojure. Oop, that was probably very loud. It just was just going to be months before I could even start because of all the wrapping Java stuff that I had to do in Clojure. And so I didn't want it. It was not, the motivation was not there. Anyway, how do you make sure that you net resources that are subclasses or related by subclasses of or related by subproperties to the supplied parameters? And the answer to this is use inferencing. Return the resource, the inventory should perform inferencing against the So this is specialized as the Swiss guy. Okay, so here's where we get another question, which is, what do we do? What if we don't want the inferencing? What if we only want resources that match assertions? Well, the answer to that, we can see how far off into the weeds we are too, which is the fun thing about this tool. I don't think I'm going to do this so much anymore. I mean, I don't know. This is going to be, again, if I had like weeks and weeks just to mess with this graphic, I would just do that. I'm just going to do something quickly. Okay. What if we only want resources that match assertions with no inferencing? Well, the answer is create. This is done. Done. Create an asserted flag that's new. Sorry, create an inferred that defaults to true. Create an inferred flag that can be set to false that will disable inferencing. This is like a little bit too loaded, by the way, like for what I would, I mean, I'm just like at this point, because like we're still characterizing stuff that's like already been done. Like, so, you know, I don't need to argue about it. I don't need to figure it out. Like we're still like loading bits and pieces into the thing. Create an inferred flag that's on by default but can be set to, okay. Now here's a question. What if you only want only inferred results with no inserted ones? Ah. See, here's the thing, like, when I think about requirements analysis, like, one of the things that happens a lot in, you know, like, or I don't know, there's arguments that sort of happens that you see happen, you know, sometimes in the space, is like you will get people arguing, like it does not, like, okay, you will get people arguing about like whether this is like the user is going to do this or whether the user is going to do that. And in some cases, it matters because it's like a real estate problem. You know, like you've got a UI and like the UI is like, well, is the user going to do this? And what if the user wants that? So like, what if the user wants X is an incredibly valid question. But what happened there? Yeah, what if the user wants X is a valid question, but you like makes a lot of sense in a UI situation, but like in a tooling situation, it is like just a silly sort of thing, because like I'm a big believer. I mean, I obviously like I'm writing a freaking book on Christopher Alexander's Nature of Order, and one of the things about it is like is a local symmetry, for example, and so what I have participated on all sorts of software projects where the argument has been like, oh well, we don't want to do thing X because it's extra work, or it's it is a not extra work is not what I mean, but it's more like a not extra work. What am I saying? But well, I mean, it is because it's going to take longer to do, and so I don't understand why I'm doing this. It just because, but it's like the amount of work that it takes is like it's more effort to argue about whether or not to do it than it is just to do it. And I've seen that happen a lot. And so, my position on symmetries is just make the freaking symmetry. And so in this case, what if you wanted only inferred results but with no asserted was? I don't know, man. Like, are you going to go and you're going to do user research to determine, are users going to want this? Like, it doesn't take up any, this is the other thing, is it doesn't take up any space to have this, right? Like, it would be different if there was limited, real estate on the UI, and things were jostling for the position, but this is just a parameter. And so, I have gotten into arguments, like, for example, like I have gotten into an argument with a boss at one point. So I was writing a library at my job, like I was writing some parser thing, who knows, whatever the hell. And in the constructor, I put some input. It was Perl. So it was it could have been Python, it could have been Ruby, it could have been any freaking thing. It happened to be Perl at the time because it was the mid 2000s. And I put input sanitation code in there. And the reason why was to make sure that the input was sanitized. And my boss freaking gets up in my grill about this. He's like, why did you spend this time on this thing? And I'm like, boss, it took 2 minutes. Like, why do you give a shit? Oh, but like, it's going to be less efficient. Like, less efficient at the runtime? Dude, it's a constructor, right? This thing is not getting instantiated. It's not going through tight loops. Like, what in the absolute hell are you talking about? And so we argued about this for 20 minutes. And like, remember, it took 2 minutes to put this code write this freaking code. It was input sanitation code. Like, it took 2 minutes to write. But we had to have a 20-minute argument about, well, you shouldn't have done that because you're wasting time. I'm wasting time. I'm wasting time. You're the one who's picking a freaking fight about it. So, that's a thing. That's a thing that I've experienced. Anyway. I'm trying my best right now to get... Oh, God, thank God. Oh, yes, there you go. Why was that so hard? Yeah, anyway. Okay. Done. I was trying to get something to work on Twitch, or the Twitch streamer interface or whatever. I don't know how you make it stop. It's like edit the interface, and it's like, cool, I'm done editing now. Like, we can stop editing it now, but it doesn't. There's no like, okay, I'm done. I don't think. Nope. I guess we're just editing the stream manager forever. Yeah. Anyway, so what if you wanted only inferred results with no asserted ones? There's like precedent for this, and part of the reason why is like you could just have like way more inferred than asserted. And so it would be, useful. Okay, what if you wanted only inferred results with no asserted ones? Okay, the response to this is create an asserted. This is also done. This is the other thing too, is we're litigating something that's already been done. Create an asserted parameter flag is, it is off by default. Oh shit. No, okay. On by default. But can be set. Asserted results. And so this is going to specialize this with serving FK again. Did the other one? No, it did not. Inferred. That's the noise I made. This kind of looks like some Large Hadron Collider looking thing. I don't know how you turn this off. This is so weird. Actually, I want this up here. I don't want this there. And I want this like a little wider. But I also want to turn it off. How do you turn it off? Cancel changes. How do you save changes? So stupid. Maybe it's just like off the screen. Maybe I should just need to like make it bigger. This will just take us. Nobody's looking at this right now anyway, so who cares? Oh yeah. No. I just want to save them. Create layout from template. God damn you, Jeff Bezos. All I want to do is save it. You can't, you're like, you can't save it. You just got to do this forever. Okay, cool. Cool, says Abed. Oh, it's time for some more dinner. I think that's enough of that for tonight. Ugh, gross. It's not the best. Not the best. So we're good. We're like coming up on stuff. Now, here's the question. What do we do? What if the result set is enormous? This might actually already be in here. I keep whacking my lavalier. Sorry about that. Nobody listening, watching. Well, the answer is to paginate. Okay, so here we're starting to get to where we're gonna, yeah, so we should say paginate. Paginate the result set. So we're brushing up against stuff that's already in here at this juncture. So we're gonna back out. But this specializes the Swiss. Yes. For starters. But take any combination of parameters. Filtering parameters, let's just say. I'm gonna not call that Swiss Army knife. I'm just gonna call it like a generic. This is also done. Okay, so we're like shaping up here. It's interesting about this is like when you start doing this, like you end up finding like tons of questions that are just like, and again, none of these are new. Like these are all things that have been resolved or figured out or whatever. And so like it hasn't like it's like we're just almost like catching up to the present right now. We're like not quite there yet. We haven't gotten to the part that I'm actually trying to tackle. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to back out. And I wanted to, like, how, again, I would say, like, how is the tool gonna, or how is the inventory gonna be related to, inventory going to be related to the entry point, the index. Because the inventory is the thing that you want. And I mean, the answer for this is we create a summary page. It's amazing though, like how when you plug through this stuff, like how many decisions need to get made in order to deliver the product. And this is the point of this tool, right? Like the point of this tool is to determine like what those decisions are and to record them and to put them in a representation that you can see. You can link to it. It's got direct links. You can pass those links around. You can send them to stakeholders, and you can also, like, when your stakeholder, you know, when we go back to the center here, wherever the center is, that's totally not it, but it's probably closer to it. There's one. You can say, you know, or, you know, client wants to see, what is this? It's interesting. There's like almost no relationship between them. This is not right. Oh, no, this is it. Client wants to use IBIS tool in everyday operations. So sure. Port the IBIS tool to indeterminacy. Oh, that's not right. Oh, no, it is. Sorry, never mind. But, you know, what ends up happening is that you can traverse this and you can say, like, okay, client wants to use the IBIS tool in everyday operations. That's cool. What are we going to do? Port the IBIS tool to intertwingler. Whenever we load that up, there we go. When I'm running this off of, I don't actually understand why the load is so high on this. But whatever. Maybe? No, I'm going to look at it in a second. Yeah, so anyway, so like you can traverse this. And so the whole point of this bastard is that when you're down in this zone here, and your boss or whatever, your client, your stakeholder is like, where's my stuff? You can show him, well, because you asked for this, this is this and this and this and this and this and this, and then, you know, he'll leave you alone. Or whatever. Maybe he'll find it interesting. But there's a sort of like the basic of like element of this is that um it's like 11, almost 11 o'clock. I'm getting tired, and I think I've had enough dinner now that I might shut down for the night and maybe actually have some real dinner that's not just wine. And yeah, so um, I will continue this, I'm sure, because I got tons of stuff I got. This we didn't even make it to the present, to the actual thing that I need to figure out. So got to keep working on that. Anyway, let's call it a night.